Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Ellis, and I am pleased to be joined, as always, happily, and once again, with the legendary Lee Canady. How you doing today?
Hi, Ryan. How you doing, man?
Doing fine. I got a quick joke for you if you're ready.
Okay.
A dog walks into a telegraph office, and the telegraph office man says, "Hey, dog, listen. What do you want me to put on the telegram?" And the dog goes, "Woof, woof, 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 woof." So the guy writes it all down. Then the guy goes, "Hey, I just noticed you only have 9 words here on your telegram. Here, dog. Here at the Western Union this week, we have a special going on. 10 words or less for the same price. Hey, we can put an extra woof on the end if you want." And the dog goes, "But that wouldn't make any sense. What kind of operation are you running here?" So I'm pleased to be joined with Mr. Canady, and we're here in LaSalle Park, just down the street from Aretha Franklin and I guess C.L. Franklin's former home. I don't think they live there anymore. Certainly both are deceased. They've moved on into the next world. But for a time, they both lived there. And that's why we're filming here today. But another reason why we're filming here in Detroit today is Detroit, the city of Detroit, about 20 years ago, or let's see, I got it right here. In 2011, so about, what would that be, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. In 2011, the Detroit City Council, it says here on the top, had a testimonial resolution given to Lee Canady of Lee's Monroe Music, Detroit, Michigan. We've already done a video on this before, but it's such an integral part of Lee Canady's life story. We're gonna talk about it again. In fact, I'm gonna read through it right now, and then we're gonna talk about it. So here goes something. This is here. I'm gonna hold it up for you to see. The Detroit City Council testimonial resolution honoring Lee Canady, and I'm gonna read it from top to bottom, and then we're gonna talk about it. Here goes. I guess I'll put this here in case you have any mutterings or moanings or, reactions.
Okay. All right.
Lee Canady. Let me turn myself up just a touch. Lee Canady. Whereas it is indeed a privilege to pay tribute to Lee Canady in recognition and appreciation for his contributions to the music industry in the city of Detroit. For nearly 30 years, he has provided exemplary service to the citizens in the city of Detroit, and whereas born in El Dorado, Arkansas, Lee Canady came to the city of Detroit in 1958 seeking greater opportunities than a small country environment could provide. In 1959, without any formal knowledge of the retail business, Lee landed a sales position in the retail business under Florence Keywell, then owner of Monroe Music, located at 54 Monroe in downtown Detroit. And whereas in 9 years, he excelled to manager, earning a 50% share in the business. However, when Miss Keywell announced that she would be leaving the business, Lee Canady became the proprietor. He added Lee to Monroe Music, making it Lee's Monroe Music there in Detroit, Michigan, 54 Monroe. With only $48 in capital, he filled his store with stacks of hit records from his own record collection from home. On the first opening day, Lee's Monroe Music brought in $300 by the end of the day. And whereas Lee's Monroe Music became the first black-owned record shop across the country to buy as a retail store from large distributors such as CBS, RCA, Capitol, and the third business in music to buy from WEA. Billboard magazine ranked Lee Canady of Lee's Monroe Music a fan of all that jazz because of his store's large collection of jazz music. The success of Lee's Monroe Music attracted the attention of numerous famous black entertainers like Nancy Wilson, Lou Rawls, Dizzy Gillespie, Cannonball Adderley, Barry Harris, Miles Davis, etc., just to name a few. And whereas with the growing success of Lee's Monroe Music, which employed 13 employees, Lee opened Lee's Monroe Music 2, which employed 3 employees on the Avenue of Fashion at 19347 Livernois. However, due to the Due to the decline in the economy and the relocation rumors of downtown businesses for a yet awaited downtown mall, Lee was forced to close both stores in 1984. Although enjoying early retirement, Lee Canady decided to re-enter the workforce with a new career. In 2000, he worked as a senior clerk for the City of Detroit's Law Department until officially retiring in 2006. And whereas Lee Canady is the father of 3 daughters, grandfather of 7, great-grandfather of 7, and great-great-grandfather of 1 at the time. I'm sure there are more since then. Lee can be spotted listening to jazz music on his boombox while riding his Cadillac scooter through Eastern Market, Campus Martius Park, Hart Plaza, or the Riverwalk in downtown Detroit on any clear spring and summer day. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Detroit City Council hereby congratulates and honors Mr. Lee Canady, pioneer, forerunner, and legend. They knew it back then. And legend in the music industry for his outstanding service and dedication in serving the citizens and employees of the city of Detroit. May your love for music and for the city of Detroit continue. Signed, Council President Cleo something, Council Pro Tem, several council members. Beautiful, just beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well,
very honored.
Well, thank you on behalf of the city of Detroit and myself personally. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Almost 30 years of service, 25 at Lee's Monroe and a few more. I mean, even beyond that, you're indefatigable. Even at your age, 88, double numbers, going toward that mighty 100, the centenary. We're all going to celebrate it together, right, folks? And you've never stopped. You never quit from a young age to today. You haven't heard that probably in months. I read that maybe almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Anything stand out to you? What an honor. Do you remember that day when you were honored by the city council?
I never forget that day. Yes, I remember it. Yeah. Well, a book came out by Motor City Rock and Roll. That's how it got started. I was interviewed in there, and a picture, and they taken from there. Council member, they honored me. I'm very happy about that. Thank you.
Thank
you, Detroit.
Yeah, thank you on behalf of Lee. So that's how they discovered you. Someone interviewed you for a book.
Right. They was going to put me on the cover of the book. He came to my house, and he saw all these pictures, and he just, wanted to do more.
Oh, that fateful collage that we've talked about a lot, but no one's ever seen.
That's how I got started,
Yeah.
I knew all the time that he was making history.
Yeah.
It was going back because we knew no one else was had done that.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be in the right spot at the right time and did the right thing. Dot my I's and cross my T's.
Amen. So, you started, it said, in El Dorado, Arkansas, and you came here to Detroit, 1958. It was New Year's holiday from 1957, crossing into 1958.
Mm-hmm.
It said, just going over the resolution, you came here with no prior retail experience. You had experience as a cabbie, which I would say is a lot more difficult than retail, because I'm sure sometimes you have drunk people late at night you got to pick up and you had to deal with, even as a teenager.
Well, really, I think that's where it all started at. I mean, it started when I left home, I guess, because I got the job at Rexall Drug, and I was delivering medicine, and I started to see how things was operating. Time means a factor in what you're doing, and you had to get it there. So I went from cab driver, delivering medicine, to driving cab.
Well, before that, you were telling me a story about long johns. You played a basketball game.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one before. You want to regale us with?
Well, I didn't want to wear long johns, but my mother, I was going to play on the team that night, and we was in this tournament, and it was out in another city.
Must have been a winter time because of long johns, right?
It was wintertime.
Yeah.
And we lived so far off the main highway, about 5 or 6 miles in the woods, But so I had to walk when I got off the bus home, when I got, but I was going to spend the night at my aunt's house who lived in the city.
Yeah.
And I had to wear the long john. So when I came out, I hit them.
Yeah, because you played, you wore the long johns going to the game, but obviously you're playing basketball, you're going to wear shorts. So you hit them in the locker room.
Right. And so when I came, when the halftime came, the game was over halftime.
When the game ended or halftime, you guys went back to the locker room.
And someone had found my long john, and he was holding them up. So who's these? And I didn't own them.
Because they had holes all over.
They had holes in them.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to own them, so I left them there, and I didn't wear them again until I bought them. About 5 or 6 years ago, my daughter bought me a pair. I wear them now, but I bought clothes that I didn't need them.
Yeah.
When I was in Detroit, in business.
But you mentioned, I thought it was funny. You said, you were telling me just, I think yesterday, that story. You're like, I left home not long after that. like almost like that's what set it off.
Well, I hated I never understood why my grandfather, great-grandfather, would get this property. He had 80 acres.
Man.
A wood, nothing but, and when my grandfather passed away, the ambulance couldn't come to the house to pick him up because it got stuck. I was a little kid. We had to take his body to the ambulance, which is stuck.
Man.
Put it in there and pull him out, and we was back in the woods. But my point is, I never could figure why would he move. By then, the Colombians discovered America. I thought my grandfather discovered it. Because he got 80 acres down there, and it's still down there.
In the family?
I don't know who owns it. I don't want it. They got timber on it. Somebody probably getting rich and selling the timber. They did that. They would go and steal trees, timber.
Yeah.
Cut it down, and because nobody looked after things like they should. But, who wants it? I'm not farming,
Yeah.
And, but anyway, I hated that, man. And I never could understand it. Because we didn't have no car. We didn't have horse to mule.
That's crazy.
Only way we got someplace, we had to walk. You know?
So I'm trying to progress through your life story. You go from El Dorado, Arkansas, all the way to Detroit with your wife and your young baby girl, your young daughter.
No, my daughter, that was my first wife.
Okay.
And we had divorced,
By that time.
Right. Because we're on the stage together for a minute.
You're 24 years old in 1958 when you come over to Detroit. 24.
Oh, that's what it was? I don't
About
even
there.
know.
23, 24.
I don't know. But I know it.
So you're in your mid-20s. So yeah, that makes sense. So you already you're on your second wife.
Yeah, and so we was leaving there, and I wanted to come north,
And what someone you already had an in-law who had a job here in Detroit.
In fact, my
That's
sister
what brought you.
And brother-in-law lived here too. Also, I had people here, so I came in and stayed with them about 6 months maybe.
While you're getting on your feet.
Yeah, but I went back home in a year and got my furniture because I had my furniture. I had nice furniture.
Because you were staying at someone else's house, you didn't have room to put all your furniture in there.
No, I had it in storage.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In El Dorado. I got first come and get me a job.
Yeah, you working
got a job
at Zokauers.
And I saved my money.
Yeah.
And I went back within a year and bought all my furniture up here.
And you're still working at the Jewish department store, Zokauers, when you brought your furniture back.
Right.
And then Miss Keywell.
And 6 months, about a year, I started and met Miss Keywell after maybe a year or so.
Yeah.
I think it's around a year because the store went out of business. And she was already there.
Yeah.
And she moved into the on Monroe. In fact, I moved her in my car.
Man.
Then you could rent a trailer
Yeah.
and tack it to the
Back of a car, regular
Right.
car. Yeah.
and moved. She had about a couple of counters and things and books, boxes. So I took it over there in my car and set the store up. I put everything where I thought it should be. I did it. And, she was there, and she and I.
She brought the money, but you brought the everything
And
else.
she says she didn't know anything about the record business
Either.
either. And
Yeah.
I didn't that much either, but she said, she make it, I make it.
And then, here's an important thing, a detail that I love about this story. At the time, welfare or unemployment, whatever you call it, it was paying about $45 a week.
Something like that.
And that was to not work at all. You get $45 a week to sit on your butt and eat bonbons.
Right.
But she offered you to work 6 days a week for $40.
Well, she didn't say
for
6
$40 a
days.
week.
She didn't say 6 days. She just wanted me to work for her. I just took for granted it's going to be 5 days.
And turned out to be 6.
Because I was working these 5 days, normally.
Regular working out,
Yeah,
Monday
but
through
I'm
Friday.
in retail now, so it's
Yeah.
a different situation.
Monday through Saturday,
Right,
off
so
closing
that's what
Sundays.
That's what she put on the table for me.
As we were saying, you could have sat on your butt and made $45 a week doing nothing, but
Right.
you chose to work what you thought was 5, but then you accepted was 6 days a week for $40 a week.
Mm-hmm.
So you lost $5 and you worked 6 days a week. People thought you were crazy.
Yes, I had feedback from people, even my wife at the time, construction work paid a lot of money. And we knew people, friends of ours, that did construction work, that made lots of money. Sometimes they work 6 months out of a year and they lay off, and they liked that. I wanted to work,
Yeah.
So I took the job. Doing that, I worked 12 months instead of 6 months.
So you did construction.
No, I didn't do that. I said I wouldn't take that. That's why I went with Monroe. I said I could have. That's what my people would say.
Yeah.
Why don't you get a job in the factory and whatever? They made a lot of money. But I went to the factory and left an application, but never was called. And I never went back to even go back and check anymore. I did what I did, and I stayed with what I was doing.
And certainly manual physical labor is not beneath you. You just talked about how you built that record store. You moved everything in.
I saw that I could do something with it, one day that, I thought about owning a business a long time ago. I was learning that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's better that way, really, than to go in from scratch because you don't know anything. Because the mistake that she made, that I thought she made, and it proved that she did make, for instance, ordering the merchandise.
Yes.
She would say, how many Miles Davis should I get, Lee? For example, stereo was $3.99 at the time, and hi-fi was $2.99. But I sold $1 less than retail, which suggested retail price.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And so she was, I said, get 5 hi-fi, maybe 3 stereos.
Yeah.
And she would call Les, which is her nephew.
Big Les McCann.
No, not Les McCann. His name was Les.
Les Keywell.
Right, Les Keywell.
A lot of Les's.
And she would ask him, how many should I get? And he would say, maybe get 3 hi-fi and 3 cereals and 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she'll decide what she get. But it wouldn't be my number.
She would short it
Right.
every time. And
But
time
she
and
would
again,
go, rely on him more than she did me. That's what I took.
and time and again, you were right on your instincts more than he was.
Yeah, because I was there. He was at Livernois.
Yeah, selling the more kind of white music than there on Monroe.
Well, he sold more pop at that time. Because
Pop
the thing,
music.
right, like
No matter what
like
it was.
The Bee Gees or whoever like that, we didn't sell that kind of stuff downtown.
Yeah.
And when we would go down there, the music chart she got in there was Keener, CKLW, and white music chart. In fact, I don't think they had black music charts at the time. I'm not sure.
You started it. You kept your own.
As far as I know that I started.
That's interesting. I never looked at it that way. You
Because
started
I was making #1 on the paper. She had rolling paper, shelving paper that she had at her store.
Yeah.
So she brought all that stuff over there, and I got all this shelving paper. We're not selling shelving paper.
So what are you going to do with it? Yeah.
So I unrolled it and came up with the idea in big letters, wrote it in big letters,
Yeah.
top 10, a hits or something like that, whatever.
Yeah, before
Number
Letterman.
1, blah, blah, blah. Number 2. And I was on the ladder, and a friend of mine came in there. I call him KW. He said, "Well, you on that?" I'm going to call his name out.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
not talking to me right now. Anyway. He got into it about, I was at the hospital. He came to see me. And we got into it about Donald Trump and taping. And he got real loud. Obama's a shame for anybody to try to frame anybody. We got into a big fight. And he hadn't talked to me since. But anyway, I just called his name out because of that. I was putting the top 10 up there, and Ken and I would always had the opposite answer anyway. We bet on ball games, and
Yeah.
I got saddlebags. I mean, on my scooters or bags on my scooter.
Yeah.
I won them from KW because we were on a bet. And he paid me that. I had big speakers. I won them from KW. I called him out. And anyway, we're not talking right now, but it's okay. But anyway, I was making the top 10.
Yeah, yeah,
and we
yeah.
got into an argument about it.
Are we in your way? No. Okay. Oh no, we're good. We're good.
Well, what make you think that's #1, #2? I said, because I said so. I never forget that. And it worked out. And as far as I don't remember anybody. I know Jet came out with that, but I think that was after that. Because
of course.
They came out with also tell you what's going to be on television. What's Black going to be on TV next week. And everybody about the Jet. I did.
Let's try to put a year on it. Was it the early 60s? You started the top 10, late 50s, 1959? You started the store in 59.
When I started the store, so I don't know when I started the store, but I mean, we started in 59, so I don't know when I started doing the top 10. I mean, I don't know.
Pretty quickly, you think, or within the first year?
I have no idea. I just know when I think about things, I do it.
So probably I just want to for the record.
I know. I understand what you're saying.
The early 60s. By the early 60s, you had started your top 10 list. Just a guess. You couldn't guess even.
I don't know. I don't even have no idea, man. I just know. I'm just telling you what happened. I don't know what year.
Okay, but early on, would you say in your record store run, you started the top 10 early on in your run?
Yeah.
So that would probably be the early 60s then, is I'm trying to say.
Florence Keywa was there when I started. I know. I don't know. Let's see. When we moved downtown, and we had a little bitty store. One day, Keywa wasn't waiting. Store next door, there was a father and son shoe store.
Okay.
I wanted the bigger store. Somehow, when Shakira came, I had moved. I don't know how I did it. I think about that. But anyway, we moved into the bigger store.
Yeah.
And she was glad we did. But she wasn't there when, I don't know, she had to do I don't know how I did it.
So it was around that time that you first remember doing the top 10 list when you moved into a slightly bigger location. That would be the time when you started.
I think it was the early when I first started moving in there, I think, because we also did a thing with the records on. We bought the little racks, put the board and got holes in it, put the little things in it, and put the records just big for the 45. You can make it as large as you want it.
Yeah.
And I would take index card and write, getting ready, temptation. This is just an example. And I would make little pictures like cartoon, had something to do with the record.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody dancing.
You would draw it.
Yeah, we did. My employees too. Well, I was working, and see when Miss Keywa owned the store.
Yeah.
I was always in charge, okay? I was always in charge, put it this way, of the people who were there after me. But Les Keywell, I wasn't in charge of him.
Because he was in the family.
He was a family.
Nepotism.
But we had a problem with that because Keywell went out of town. She called herself to the fat farms.
So the Keywells were a bunch of fatties, sounds like. Les was fat, she was... Les was pretty big, you said, right?
Yeah. He ate all the time. They'd go to a restaurant, and his fraternity brother, where you pay a certain amount and eat all you eat, they would pay him not to eat.
the proprietors of the store.
Yeah, he used to tell that joke.
He was that big.
He would say that joke.
Can I tell you something? You already know this, I'm sure. Cannonball Adderley. I was reading his Wikipedia. Do you know how he got the name Cannonball?
No.
He had a voracious appetite, so everyone called him Cannonball. So he's like, no, Cannonball. And that's how I got Cannonball Adderley.
I didn't know that.
Because he had a big appetite, Cannibal. His nickname was Cannibal, and he turned it into Cannonball, probably to try to make it less about his weight, you know? I guess Cannonball is shaped like a cannon. I guess he can't escape it. I'm sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, Cannonball was in the store. I came from court one day. Been sued by my ex-wife. And they did me dirty. You know, I didn't like them. I walked in the store, and he said something funny about because I was down, you know. They told me to sell my car. That's what they did.
He always had a kind word, a fun, nice
so
word.
I met Cannonball was there, and he made some kind of funny joke. Anyway, we got to be friends.
So the Keywells, you were the first with the top 10 in-store play. You started that as well before American Idol. Basically playing the hits, because you said the only place people could hear music besides the radio would be in the juke joints. Put a dime in the jukebox.
If you don't have no radio, if they had radio, maybe you wasn't.
You were the
you didn't have the money to own a radio. Everybody didn't. Man, you know, we ain't always been here.
You were the tertium quid, the third way.
And so
you provided another source of that music in your store.
See, back when I came here, on Wednesday night, we would go right here on Linwood. It's a bar down. It was a nightclub. You could dance, and they had a disc jockey there.
Yeah.
He had muscles, sexy like, you know, and he was.
Yeah.
And the women go down there and they buy drinks and maybe one drink and maybe a pop and dance and learn new dances every Monday night or every Wednesday night. They had something on Wednesday night. People go dance.
Yeah.
That's how you hear music. Whatever they put in there and play on the radio, on the jukebox, that's what you hear.
You're stuck with it.
And the disc jockey, they had WCHB. They played rock and roll music, black music. But they only got so much. They was the black station. I'm just, hey.
You opened things up for people.
We all was opened up at the same time. Because when I
but
came
you were the
here,
first.
Durham was on the radio.
But with in-store play, you're saying all at the same time. You were the first with that.
Nobody would play your record. None of the store would play your record. When you bought it, they didn't play it for you. You know, it's sealed, and you walked out, and we always played our records.
Yeah.
From day one,
played
the 45 for the people. Because when people come in there, they don't know. You don't know this record's out, but I know it's out. So I want you to hear it.
Yeah.
And my employees would play. Let me play this for you. We got a new disc. Let me play it. Oh, you do got a new. Who are they? Well, I play it for you.
Yeah.
You got to have a taste and know what you're playing.
Yeah.
You got to have a taste and figure. Everybody don't dig jazz, if you call it. You understand what that? It might be a church song. Then I don't like B.B. King. Well, what you find out? What she like gospel? Well, sure, we got some gospel.
Hey, so
we got Aretha Franklin, Reverend Franklin, C.L. Franklin, and blah blah blah. It's something in there got to appeal to that person walking in the store.
Did Florence see these innovative steps you were taking? Did she acknowledge that and give you credit for what you did?
Well, I was always with her. I was always in her business where she went.
She took it for granted. She took it for granted. You're saying the good work that you did, the creative work that you did.
I don't know. I never thought of it that way. I just thought I was part of that. I didn't see the color. I didn't see different. We were just people that we work together. They're like family. That's what we call ourselves. We family to the Keywells.
Yeah.
Her family, when I meet them, they all acknowledge me. It's a family,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the way it was.
Amen. So, well, here's a transition. Sometimes families have hardships. They split up. And you and Florence divorced. Was that in the late 60s? Not divorced like you're married, divorced business-wise.
Yeah. But you see, I don't know why Miss Keywell, she was confused anyway. Well, to me, she had drained herself so much from other investment, I believe, okay, personally. I'm just saying, I never said it to anybody. But she was involved with some other things with D-Town Records. I don't know what they was taking advantage of her, you know. I know she was used. There was time that I would go to the bank and had to cover checks, and she would send me and da. But you know, that's the personal business. But as far as trusting me, I believe that she had full trust and confidence in me.
Beautiful.
But when she was getting ready to close, when she closed up, but thing was getting bad, and she had a decision to make. Well, a lot of the white people leaving Detroit anyway. Everything was closing up downtown Detroit.
White flight.
And we opened up the third store out in Oak Park. They did, which didn't have anything to do. Her other nephew, youngest nephew, was running that. Les was at the Livernois store. And seemed like I thought that Miss Keywell was really, she wanted to close downtown. She kept the Livernois, other stores open. You understand?
Yeah.
But so she didn't tell me in the right time. It was I was kind of hurt about it. But I decided, I told her I wanted to stay there.
Man.
And she agreed that might be nice, just should. So I changed things into my name, the light company, the telephone. I think I kept the same number. She left that available for me. But I don't think she had confidence that she was leaving, because I went to the bank in her car and made the last deposit. That's why I know she trusted me still. You understand what I mean?
Beautiful.
We took because I always made the deposit. So the last day we was there, I took them in her car, went to the night deposit. I mean, I had the keys, the thing, opened, put it in there, and she went away and I went my way. So she trusted me. But when I opened up there, I stayed down there I think it was on a Friday, the whole weekend. I repainted the store, my colors. I did everything all new, and people, what's she doing here, you know? Then I was playing music. I always played the music. That Monday morning, I had took my records. I had prepared myself. I had stuff home that I was taking care of. You know, I had product that they had donated to me to different companies. You know, and they took care of me. I was thinking, I know something was going down. You know, I'm not that stupid, naive. So with the records that I already had and things like that, that's how I started my business.
Man.
You know, I had my own personal albums. I took those albums and I worked with companies.
Because it said there, and still recording here.
But
it said you only had $48
in the bank and $300 in my pocket, and I went and got some cigarette papers to roll joints with.
Yeah.
Incense, stuff like that.
Merchandise.
I spent it on that, and I went to the bank, talked to the manager.
Yeah.
And he gave me a loan. He didn't know he took, because I went there all the time. So they don't know, I don't know, I guess they know who owned the store, but they see me always go to, because I took care of all that for Miss Keywell. So now I'm in here, I need $1,000. Yeah, well, he did, he gave me $1,000. I took the $1,000, paid the guy to put the sign outside. Lee's Monroe Music, big. Harmon Williams. Then wholesale up here gave me $1,000 credit with my records that I had at home. when I would sell something at the store, I'd run over to Linmore, down the street here, and pick up what I need. They gave me an advance $1,000 credit. And multiply. Sell one, get two more. You know, that's ABC, 1, 2, 3. That's what I did. And I kept bigger, bigger, and bigger, and bigger. Then I applied for credit from the record companies. I got it. They sent merchandise with those big trucks, park in the front in the alley, bring it in the store for me, sign for it. I sold them, I paid them. I don't have no bad credit in that. I had no bad credit, still don't. I had problem with the friend of the court, which I wouldn't pay them because the way they did, they discriminated against me. They wanted me to make, and I wouldn't pay to the friend of the court. So what I did was, I took a file. What they would ask me, I paid more. But I bought everything for my kid. I didn't divorce my kids, my children. I divorced their mother. So they tied me up, but I still won. I don't owe friend in court nothing. I took care of my kids.
Praise God.
And so they had me tied up for a minute because everything was on lien, you know. And I went through a lot of changes, but I'm not a bad dad. You understand? I took care of my kids.
Amen.
And I didn't want them to be on the friend of the court. I mean, I was embarrassed because I don't like welfare.
You would, what was it? You closed the store at 9. You have to get over to the mother of your daughter's house, and if you're there a minute late, she'd call the cops. If you brought the daughters home a minute late, well, she'd call the cops.
They work with the system. The system make people like that. But don't put me in that. I'm not that way. But I didn't want them to handle it because how you gonna tell me what I should do?
I'm saying, not only, as we said before, you've always been indefatigable. You've always been tireless. You've always been a hard worker. Not only were you a hard worker at your job, you didn't quit. You didn't just get off work and say, oh, I'm going to go home and relax. No, you got off work and you were a father to your kids. You were a good father. I'm making the point.
I wasn't with them, but I took care of them.
Yeah.
But I wasn't with them because they gave me the visitation time and that kind of thing. I dealt with that, but I don't like the system where they did it, and I fought against it. And I went there and was my own attorney, and I was,
Yeah. Well, God bless about that.
But they bumped everything they did.
So we're talking about divorce of wives, divorce of business. You start your own company, take out the loan, take out several loans, lines of credit. Business is booming. You're in the black. You're not in debt. You're paying off all of your familial debts. 70s. That what a decade for you. Because what year about did you start Lee's? Did you go from Monroe to Lee's Monroe? Was it in the 60s? Did that happen, or the 70s that you and Miss Keywell separated?
It was in the 70s.
Late 70s.
About 71 to about 73.
19.
I don't know.
They're about
maybe 74. I don't know.
Early to mid 70s. You set off on your own, and what a run. You have all these people in, all these record company people. They all want your ear. Not just them. More important than them, the artists that they represent themselves want your ear. The Beatles would call you up and say, hey, I can't do an accent, but hey, what do you think about this record? They played over the phone.
A lot of people do that. They acknowledged me. They acknowledged me. I give them that. They really did. And that's why everybody would call, they want to talk to me. They always did that.
That was from the beginning. And so, and now we're in the 70s, all these people you knew, and then going into the 80s, was that new decade, were there new horizons for you, or was it just another year? Once you crossed from the 70s into the 80s, did you have, kind of like you said earlier, you always had a plan of having a business. Did you have a step beyond that, plans of
No, I would always be in retail, whatever it be. It don't have to be records. It could be clothing. It could be something else. You know, what you want to do, what you like. But it's always somebody want that.
You like that line of work.
I like that line of work. You always sell something because everybody looking for him. That's what he work for, to take his money. He want to get. He don't want the money. He wants something for the money.
And here's something about
Anything
you.
pretty, shiny.
You know, a lot of record store proprietors can say, "Hey, listen to that song. Hey, listen to that song." You were so good at your job, the artists came to you and said, "Hey, what do you think about our music?" I mean, that is a whole other level that you never see anywhere. I've never heard of anywhere. A record store
always invite me. I want me to come to the venue, and
I've never heard of that.
Acknowledge me when I get there. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
You were a golden ear. You were sought after.
But yeah, just like the gentleman we saw a minute ago here. You know, what they said about when they found out what I had done. It's a different attitude, right?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, it sounds like we're in Detroit. I hear a siren in the background and dogs barking. All we need is a trifecta of gunshots.
You got to have dogs, man, because they tell you coming. People sneak up on you.
They're the modern canary and
right. And
coal mine.
like we always had dogs. You got to have dogs. You live in the woods down there. You don't know what kind of animal is going to come in your house and wake up.
Okay, so we're doing the timeline of your life. You had a dog named Cocaine. Was that after the record store? You had that dog?
Yeah, that was after the record.
So that's a great transition. So before we get to Cocaine, what a transition! Your record store ended. Eminent domain by the city of Detroit. They said you have to be out within 2 weeks. We'll give you $10,000. You vacated the premises. They didn't give you the money for a year and a half, 18 months. In the meantime, you fell upon hard times, namely your body. You had a health issue which depleted your funds. You're such a good man that people heard about it and helped you out. But too little, too late, you know, the damage was done, and never were you to open up a record store again. You know, you said if you had family, you would have done it, but just you, and crime was getting worse.
Right. I wouldn't do it for nothing, you know, because...
Here. Do you want some tea or water?
I think...
All right, we got...
Either one, you know, I like it. Just so it's food.
All right, I'll do green.
I don't like nothing, you know, I like a little sugar.
Yeah.
I like it.
The store closed, and you moved on to, I suppose, in a matter of speaking, civilian life, because your whole life as you knew it was music. And now what are you going to, you know, it's like, I'm sorry to say, but it's almost like a spouse dying, you know, like you don't know, there's a hole there in your, was there an emptiness, like a void?
Yeah, because I missed it. You know, that was my life, you know, being with, I like people, and it was like every day was a party. Like every day it was a party, you know.
Giving that up.
From 9 o'clock to when I leave at night, it's just music
25
going
years.
And partying. I had there, in my refrigerator, I had wine back there. You know, I had a refrigerator. I would buy 3 cases of wine for home and 2 at the store. When I would get it that way at the time. My ex-father-in-law, he was a salesman for the wine company. He had a big job over there. He was big enough that he went on the airplane with the Detroit line when they would go to Super Bowl. He was a friend to the guy we got from California, the football coach. I forget his name now. But anyway, my father-in-law. But anyway, yeah, I loved it, man. But now it's not any fun anymore because people come and rob you and they kill you.
Yeah, and you know, you got out in the 80s, but I hear by the 90s in Detroit, things were really bad.
Right, and then, you know, so
I
had a good run, you know.
25
years. I had nice cars, and when I was at work, my car was always parked outside. I couldn't do it. But when I went across town, I went in style, you know. But now you can't do that no more, man, you know. So what is that?
Like you said, if you can't do it first class, you won't do it at all. And so if you can't do it, then I guess you're not doing it now.
You can't go out anymore. I mean, there's so much crime going on. You can't look like you got anything.
Yeah, it's true. I keep looking
so much hate.
to check on my camera.
I understand. but so much hate.
Yeah, to prove that point.
So I don't want to even go in. I don't want to bash people, but you don't trust anybody.
Yeah. I feel like it's
I
gotten
don't,
worse
tr-
lately.
you know, don't
People
trust
I talk to
anybody.
agree.
You know, not even your own
Here in Detroit
people,
and
and not
elsewhere.
white people don't like you. You think, and black people don't. They don't care.
Yeah.
It's crime.
So I want to stick to the course of your life. So the store ends. You get a dog named Cocaine.
Yeah.
Briefly, we'll talk. Who you got it from? Famous person, right? You bought it from?
Yeah. Somebody asked me about Cool Jerk,
Cool Jerk.
but that's the people I got it from. The girl who sang the Cool Jerk. I forget her name now, but Lawrence is the guy's name. I was trying to think his name earlier. Lawrence Payton. Lawrence. He wrote the tune "I Found the Love."
Okay.
They was a couple at the time, you know. So I bought the dog from them. They had these kind of dogs, American Eskimo.
They had like a litter of them, of puppies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
And
got
I
one
took
of
him
them.
home in my shirt, and his little baby. And
American
he
Eskimo.
went everywhere I went. I had this black Corvette, and he
Yeah.
had on diamond around his neck.
Yeah.
He put his paws on the dashboard, and that's what he rode.
Just like the
Just like a
low
him.
rider, like that
Yeah.
the bobblehead of the dog. He was the real life version of that, the embodied version.
And they stole him, you know. They stole my cars too.
You lost it all, and so tragedy on tragedy. Not only does your store get stolen from you, in my opinion, dispossessed. Possession's 9/10 of the law, and the store is dispossessed by the city. You got all your cars. All your cars were stolen by local yokels, by the typical locals that steal things, and now you just have a scooter. And your life since then, you've just had a retired life.
It's really slowed down, man. I'm telling you, you know, I don't go across town. I was everywhere, you know, but I've been there and done that.
What's retirement been like for you?
Well, it's got its up and down like everything else. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Some days it rains, sometimes it snows. That's life.
I like reading studies. I don't believe them, but what I do is if I hear a bunch say the same thing, I start to form an opinion maybe. And one thing I've heard time and again about living a long, healthy life is being able to adapt to circumstances. And you people at home, just this video alone, or any video of this fella, you've been through so much, and you just say a matter of fact, like just another thing. Because that's how you treated it, because that's the strength you have within you, the strength that you built and nurtured within you, grew yourself. We filmed a couple days ago. I hit record, and we're recording for 10 seconds and stopped recording. So now we're here again. You're very gracious on top of everything else, on top of being strong. But one thing we talked about was just all the resilience of your life. And you're just so humble about it all. I know when someone calls you humble, you're not supposed to acknowledge it. So I kind of boxed you into a corner here. So here, let's just finish off strong. And as I've said many times, now that we've learned about Lee's life, let's have Lee leave the folks at home with a piece of wisdom. Wisdom for the folks at home.
Do unto others as you wish to be done to you.
The golden rule.
The golden rule.
Amen.
Every day. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. All right. I hope that recorded. The audio recorded. That video died. That one's still going. Whoop, whoop.
You got it then? Good.